Dungeon Spider, the first of 3 Morvran cards I'm revealing today. It's an aggressive 2/2 creature, rewarding 2 gold and a 2/2 weapon as well. At first, I didn't think this was particularly interesting, since it's directly comparable to Barbarian Warrior, though with the added upside of more gold and that it doesn't need setup. Yeah, unlike Barbarian Warrior, you'll always take damage from this, since being aggressive it hits you first, but at least you don't need 3 base attack to kill it. So unlike Barbarian Warrior, when you don't get any unconditional AP in your opening hand, this is still a worthwhile contender for Chapter 1 Slot 1 into Kill a Big Thing. Dagannoth Sentinel comes to mind, or Ogre Warlord, or really any 10 health creature. You'll kill them all in exactly 3 hits with the 2/2 weapon. The only issue with that though is that this card is competing for space in your deck with Sergeant Slimetoes, which is in turn competing with Kale. Both of which kill Sentinel in 2 hits, saving you 8 extra life, and are much more useful for killing stuff like Jad as well. Or even Ketzak, given how aggressive Morvran is. Spider comes with 2 gold though, so you can't write him off, but it is difficult to know how useful that will be without seeing all of the other Morvran cards. In Glenn's reveal video, links in the description, we saw some supports, but I didn't think those were very good. At the very least though, Stamina Potion and Full Tetsu exist, so in Dungeoneering this will be a top tier pick on our tier list, links in the description. So, whilst we don't know about Morvran's expensive supports, we do know about his cheap ones. In Jag and Merchant's reveal videos, links in the description, we saw Slayer tasks, 0 cost supports that give a scaling reward based on the number of creatures slain in that given chapter. So far, we've seen one for ogres and one for goblins, and whilst I would love to show you the one for beasts, that's not what one of my cards was, assuming it's even going to exist. And the reason I mention this is because Dungeon Spider is a beast, as well as KGP agent, and Dagannoth Sentinel as well, which would make one hell of a great Slayer task chapter, right? Given that you can 2-hit kill the Sentinel here. Yeah, and so with this, Dungeon Spider, which gives you a weapon to 1-hit kill White Wolf, which presumably in your beast deck will draw you a beast, and then with the remaining charge of the weapon you 1-hit kill Direwolf, one of the new cards I have to reveal today. Oh baby, spend 1 beast that you may or may not have just drawn, and then gain 1 base attack. I'll give you a sec to pause the video and read the card if you want to. And now suddenly, Spider looks much better now that this exists, especially when you consider that there are a decent number of quite reasonable 4 or less health beasts, including Guard Dog, revealed by Glenn, which if you really need it to, can make Direwolf work as well. I really like Direwolf. It reminds me of KGP Agent, given that it discards to reward a base attack. Obviously, this is considerably more conditional, requiring a weapon or base attack and obviously a beast to be used optimally, but it's definitely a card I think will see play in a dedicated beast deck. It's a pretty good card. It's certainly no Jad that comes with 4 armor, and like a lot of Morvran cards, this does seem rather predictable which slot it's going to be played in, slots 2 or 3, which given that 7 attack, does make this something, just like Jad, worth worrying about when you do play it. Regardless of that though, very cool design. And that's also true for my final card, Ogre's Champion. Set the health and attack of your rival's next enemy to be equal to their base attack +1. Again, you're cue to pause the video. So, the idea here is that your opponent's next creature, no matter what creature it is, they'll always be 1 base attack short of killing it, which is damn cool. So my first thoughts were, oh baby, you can hit the Chapter 1 Jad, and then I realized it says health and attack. So actually, if they just played something like Monolith Chamber into Jad on 3 base attack, they're only going to take 4, since you set their 15-3 Jad to a 4-4 Jad, they hit it, and then it hits them back, and then afterwards they get 4 armor award, making Ogre's not great, but it isn't bad either, given that this creature isn't too hard to kill. But then I thought about it some more and it got worse in my mind. If you're going first, this card is considerably worse than if you were going second. In a world where Monolith Chamber and Safe Spot, Enfeeble Flurry, even Defense Potion, stuff like that, when they're seeing play, if you're going first, you encounter Ogre's Champion, then the effect resolves. But then your opponent going second plays one of the cards I mentioned, and now Ogre's effect doesn't end up really doing anything. This is also true regardless if you're going first or second if your opponent happens to have a weapon. Ogre's triggers off their base attack, not their total attack. And then really you've just helped them kill their next creature. So overall, I think this is considerably worse than Archmage Sedrador, but that's not really a fair comparison since Archmage is probably a bit too strong, at least in its current form. Ogre's Champion though, it is definitely at its best if you can predict them playing a temporary attack buff like Borrowed Power from the Lunar Spellbook. There comes a boost, but it's not going to matter because of course, oh no, Borrowed Power, I thought boost. Boost of course increases your unit's attack, but here because of the Borrowed Power he's going to hit him back for 16, holy crap, what the play's being made, and then again into the second Wilderness, holy crap, oh wow, that was monstrous, really well done from his opponent there. Played. Absolutely beautiful. The reads there, he saw his opponent with the Virago weapon. Ogress is also pretty good against level 126s. If your opponent happens to be stacking a tremendous amount of base attack, then Ogress does become significantly stronger, and obviously scales in power level as the game goes on and your opponent stacks up more and more base attack. Looking at you, Elvarg. It's also a very interesting grief card in the sense that normally you're aiming to hit big creatures with stuff like Fern, Moena, Sedrador, but with this I would argue it's better to hit their smaller creatures. If you're aiming for their Jad, they'll probably have a weapon for that. And with Sentinel, they might be going to 2-hit kill it anyway. The White Wolf at the end of their chapter though, Ogre's pretty good on that. Alright, that was my 3-card reveal. My name has been Interjection. Leave a like if you found this interesting and do subscribe if you would like to hear more from me. Glenn, Jag, and Merchant's reveal videos are in the description below. My thanks to Jagex for these cards, and I'll see you all again next time. Thanks.